Recording has started. First thing, please just mute yourselves when you log in for the first time. Just go ahead and hit the little mute button up on the screen or mute your phone if you're on your cell phone.
Brian,
Um,
Brian,
yes,
I muted everybody for you because you can do
I
that.
saw that.
You can use
Thank you
that
so much.
using the list. And also, you're breaking up a little bit. So
Okay,
if people don't need to use their cameras, they might want to turn them off so that you can have a better feed.
perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for those suggestions. I appreciate it. Um, So this is the third installment of Smart Bar Session. This is something we at the Florida HIE are going to do. We're going to have it once a month, maybe 2 times a month, depending on the need. The goal here is to just help build education, awareness around ENS, around the products we offer, the way the system works, and ways we can continue to improve it for our end users. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and start sharing my screen, and I'm going to share the prompt portal. At the end of this call, I will talk about how folks can get prompt access if they don't have it or they've lost their password or don't know where to go. But everyone invited on this meeting, at least an invitation I sent you, you should have credentialed prompt access because I have a full list of all users in Florida who have prompt, and I sent this invite to all the prompt users. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And I am going to log into Prompt. So Prompt is basically a lightweight care coordination tool. A lot of you guys essentially use it. And let me share my screen first off. Pick the right one here. All right. So the prompt portal is essentially a lightweight care coordination tool. You log into it like you guys probably do, and you're very familiar with username, password, information. So when you click on your login information, you would enter it in. And the first thing I want to stress to everyone on the line, the very, very first thing you should do before anything else is select your participant information here. So whatever subscriber you are, Millennium ACO, Advent Health, West Florida, Palm Beach ACO, whatever it is, select your subscription right here. That is just going to set everything up in a nice way, make sure everything's flowing in the way it's supposed to, and it has a similar look and feel that you would like. Also, the other thing I'd recommend is if you have the capability to use Google Chrome, access this system through Google Chrome. Using it Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge, it's a little slower. It doesn't run as efficiently, and you might see some visual things that don't quite match up. Google Chrome is the best thing to use this system on. So most people are familiar with kind of how data flows in and what prompt is. If you're not familiar with that information, I am happy to send out a link after this with our YouTube training. We have a YouTube training page here, which I'll send the link. It's got prompt information, a basic prompt tutorial, how to apply filters, just some basic stuff that lets you guys through. This is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more in detail, but hopefully everyone understands what how to search for a patient's name with their MRN, what the different things are, how the data flows in, it's real time, the fact it's male or female, names, facility names, things like that. What I'm going to dive into is to show a little bit more about the filtration capabilities, some of the unique features that prompt maybe that can do that maybe you guys haven't utilized in the past. So with that, I think the first thing I wanted to do is just highlight how you can use a filter. So the real unique thing about this prompt portal is the ability to filter. The fact you can apply filters in real time, search on exactly what you're looking for, and cut out a lot of the white noise, to me, is the major benefit of prompt. It's great to get all these notifications in, but if you're funneling through 50, 60, 70, 80 notifications a day, it might be difficult. And you may say, I'm a care coordinator, or I'm a nurse practitioner, or I'm a member of ACO, and I only care about discharges, or I only want to see recent admits to skilled nursing facilities. That's exactly what Prompt can do for you, and it's really easy to do, and you can do 5 or 6 of them in a matter of seconds. So I'm just going to highlight that a little bit here. Let's say I logged in and I wanted to focus on a certain facility. So maybe I was looking for Jackson Memorial. I would just type in source facility contains Jackson Memorial. If you do a filtration and you list where you go back in here and you were to say, I want it to equal Jackson Memorial, that's fine, but we don't actually have a Jackson Memorial listed. All right, what we have is a Jackson Memorial Hospital. So by leveraging contains, you're casting a little bit wider net and you're not making the specificity so necessary. If you're looking for Advent facilities, if you're looking for Jackson Memorial facilities, if you're looking for facilities in Tampa, you can just type in source facility contains Tampa, and you'll start to get all those results based on the facility name right here. Now that I've filtered down that I only want to see notifications from Jackson Memorial, I can then say I only want to see where the patient class equals emergency, or you can do inpatient. So you can apply another filter on top of that, which is really, really nice to do. Now you've filtered it down to say source facility, patient complains, and then you can even go in and say, I want to know when any discharge occurred from an ER from Jackson Memorial where the patient walked in and complained, again, I'm doing contains here, complained about, I don't know, let's see, a headache. So now I've applied all these filters, and I'm drilling down to the specific thing that I want to focus on, which is emergency discharges from Jackson Memorial that contained a patient complaint of headache. The real unique thing about the ability to do this is you've cut through all that noise. I mean, right now I'm only looking at what, 4 notifications. So I've taken all the white noise out, and I'm really drilling down on exactly what I want to focus on. And you can apply these filters for anything. You can say, I only want to see gender of male or female or unknown, or I want to see information on patients' diagnosis description that contains pain. All right. So this is the diagnosis description the hospital provided, and the description contains the word pain. And I hit enter, and up there's no results. Well, maybe I need to change my filtration stuff here. So let me remove Jackson Memorial. No results there. Let me remove a headache. Oh, here we go. So now I've found a patient class that has emergency with a diagnosis description containing pain. And you can click on that information. And then on the right-hand side here, you can see diagnosis description, pain in right toe. You can also search by diagnosis code. It's much more specific with the code, but if you're looking for a range of codes, you could type in a diagnosis code here, and maybe it contains Z. Let's say you want to see all the ones that are like Z55. You could go ahead and search for that. I don't think in the demo site we have any of that up, but you can search for that, and it's going to essentially apply a filter to look for maybe a range of codes, or codes contain Z5 or just Z. So it allows you the ability to really filter down on what exactly you're looking for. Once you've applied this filter, another unique thing about this is you can actually go and click this download icon right here. And you can download those specific rows that you've applied that have been filtered notifications, or you can say, I want to download all the rows. There's only a limit of 500, so that's why the more filters you apply and the more you drill down to the specific data you're looking for, when you click this download, you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet that's going to be downloaded to your desktop that has all the notifications that you've applied filters for. One other thing that I would say that is really unique with the Florida HIE is any data sender. So UF Health Jacksonville, Genesis, we label them the rehab, the skilled nursing facilities, the home health facilities, and the hospice facilities. We label them with those names. So if I wanted to see any facility that one of my patients had an encounter that was a skilled nursing facility, I would go source facility contains SNF. And now I can go through and I can actually filter down. And now I'm getting all the notifications that have SNF, which is the skilled nursing facility, which all our facilities have SNF if it's skilled nursing. They have the word rehab in it if it's a rehab facility, home health, or hospice. So this is a quick way to drill down and only like look at a subset of the encounter notifications at a specific facility. So maybe you don't care that it occurred at Genesis or Woodlake. You just want to see, did we have a skilled nursing facility encounter? Most people really are interested in discharges from that. So you can say the event type equals a discharge. Because once they've been discharged from the skilled nursing facility, you may want to bring them in for a follow-up appointment or make sure that everything went right with their stay at the skilled nursing facility. So you can go in and enter this information in and filter it right down for you. One of the other things that I will definitely highlight will basically look at how this particular system was used for COVID. We don't have any data that flowed in here, but for those of you who have prompt and you feel like logging in and doing it right now, it is a great way to find out, do you have any patients that either had a diagnosis description that contained COVID? Or you could say, I want to know anyone who maybe a patient came in and they were complaining of COVID. You can enter all this information in, hit enter, and then the information is going to populate here if you have it. Same thing goes for maybe diagnosis information around pregnancy. You can type in diagnosis description, contains preg, which would be pregnancy, because some facilities just enter preg. They don't enter the whole pregnancy thing. You can enter that information in, and it will filter down information for you that essentially where there's an encounter that had a pregnancy. So really with these capabilities, anything you can think of that you want to try to focus on or capture is really at your fingertips. You know, the best thing I could say to do is if you start looking for certain things such as pregnancy or heart condition or dialysis, start casting a wide net. You know, start on dialysis and then see, are you seeing 3 or 4 dialysis encounters that have similar diagnosis codes? If that's true, then you can go in and say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just add a bunch of diagnosis codes in here. Contain Z4, whatever the code might be, you hit enter. And then if you wanted to do another code, you can apply another code on top of it. And what the system's going to do is going to look for any encounters that have these diagnosis codes in them, and it's going to provide it. So for example, this one just came up randomly, and the diagnosis code was D3. So while it's D3A, it's because I just entered in contains D3, it's going to give me anything with that particular code in. So it really provides a really good way to, on the fly, really quick, take a quick look at what's going on. Once you've applied a filter that you like and you say, I'm going to use this every day, this filter for COVID or for pregnancy or whatever, there's this little tab right here that says custom filter name. And you can actually type in a custom filter. You can say DG code D3 and you can hit enter. The little green thing right here. And now you've saved that filter. So you can save filters as much as you want. I've got a lot here saved. But once you've saved the filter, then when you log in the next time, it's going to be there. So I've got a discharge ER. So you apply that filter and it immediately applied it. And it said you were looking for any event type that had a discharge with a patient class of emergency. Okay, I've downloaded that report or I've done what I needed to do there. Now let me go back here and I want to look at any diagnosis discharge with a fever. Apply that. So because I've got a date range here to expire, but if I drop this down, discharge, diagnosis description contains fever right there. So there's a lot of real-time capabilities that you can apply to this particular portal. And I wanted to make you guys aware of a little bit of this. So really, as you're doing these filters and applying stuff, think about the things that are important to you and your organization. Maybe if you see that you've got, you're in a value-based program and you see that you seem to be having a high rate of people getting the flu, or, people seem to be falling a lot. You can go in and apply codes and filters and look to try to figure out, what are we really struggling with here? Maybe what can we do different? If it's the flu, maybe we need to focus on these subset of people who had the flu, got a diagnosis with the flu next year to make sure they get in for their flu shot. So it's really a list that you can go in and just start pulling data and apply it to however you think would be working best for your organization. The other thing I would highlight, in addition to the ability to apply filters and save them, you can also actually go in and enter care notes. So when you as an organization log in and maybe you've got 5 or 10 or 15 people working these notifications, no one really knows that you've called Mr. Jones and maybe left a voicemail with him, or maybe concerned, said, I've done a follow-up appointment, I've scheduled it with Dr. whoever, Mr. Jones plans to come in on Friday. You can go down here to the care notes and actually enter that information in. Called patient, scheduled appointment for Friday 5/21. And then you can add that note. And when you add it, it's now going to show up here, and you can see all the different notifications or care notes that have been added, and you can see when they were added and by what user. So Ashley Wells logged in and she added a care note. I added a care note. All this information stores in the system and saves it. So if the patient, you click on this encounter again a month later, all this information's here, and it might help you to look at all the encounters this particular patient had and go through and say, let me take a look at the care notes and see if there's some information here that maybe might be pertinent. Another thing which I'm sure everyone is aware of is the event history. This data flows in based on the time you start your prompt application, and it starts capturing all the the historical encounters, and it populates them here below. So while the ER discharge shows up here, if you look down, you typically should see an ER admit or an inpatient admit, whatever it may be, as the event history. If this patient's had multiple events in the last 6 months, you're going to see all that information here. ENS, the prompt system doesn't store data longer than 6 months within the system. So that's why if you'd like to do a SFTP daily file in addition to prompt, that's a good thing to do, because the SFTP folder keeps everything for as long because it's your file. This being a database and user management, in order to keep the system active and functioning as expected, we typically do a 3-month window where we're storing historical information. In addition to all the data you're going to get that you guys normally see in regards to event date, the source facility, admit, discharge, we've recently added in the COP regulation stuff, which I don't know if folks attended the COP Smart Bar session we had about a month ago. But as you can tell, this new information started being added into the system, and you'll slowly start to see more and more organizations provide this data, because it's the part of conditions of participation where they need to provide a referring provider, admitting, consulting provider. If that information is provided at the time of admission or discharge from the patient, they need to capture it and then send it back to us. So this is data you'll start to see populate more and more as more hospitals start participating in the conditions of participation information. So getting back to the filters, we've discussed how you can apply a filter and save it. The other thing that I want to say is there are a lot of things you can do here with these filters. I really suggest you play around with them a little bit. We have a death indicator. Yes or no, you can apply that. A discharge to location or discharge disposition. I find that discharge disposition is populated a little more frequently than discharge to location. So if you want to see a discharge disposition maybe contains hospice, you can enter that in, and that information would populate. Or maybe it's discharge disposition contains home. That information could populate as well. Discharge to location is populated occasionally, but it's not populated from all facilities. So discharge disposition, the discharge to location is not populated from all facilities. Discharge disposition typically is. So it's something to think about. Also, recently we've added in observation status. So as more and more facilities start reporting on observation and we start receiving it, you can actually go in and type observation status equals, and you can say yes or no. So if you want to filter down and say, I'd love to see all the patients who had observation status marked as yes or no, you can go and apply that filter, download that. If you wanted to save it, you could now go in and you've applied observation status equals yes, and you could say obs yes, and you could click the green icon and save it, and now it shows up right here, and then you've got it next time you log in. One thing also to note is when you add a filter, a custom filter, it can't be shared with other users. Obviously, you can tell them what you applied, but when someone else logs in the system, because your filter's there, it's within your proprietary account. It isn't shared with someone else. You guys know that you can search by name or by MRN to find a particular patient if you're looking for a particular patient. So that information is there as well. And then I also wanted to highlight two kind of administrative things with this in regards to your password information and how to ensure that you can reset your password as expected. So when you log into your system, there's the icons up here on the far right, and you can go to manage your account. And when you click on manage your account, you've got information on passwords, what your current password is, what the new password is if you want to reset it. But the other thing I suggest everyone does is set up security questions. These security questions are a drop-down menu. There's a ton of options, but this ensures that when you go to reset your password, there's no issues with you can answer the security questions and actually reset it yourself on the fly. And you don't have to worry about receiving an email and maybe it gets blocked by your spam or your organization. If you have security questions set up, it should prompt you when you say reset password to pick a security question, answer it, and then go through and reset your password that way. You also have the ability, if you are within the system, you log in and you can't remember your password, don't continue to try enter passwords over and over again. What it'll do is block you out of the system, but you can click forgot password right here, and you can enter in the text verification is kind of hard, so I refresh it a couple times till I get one that I can see. You enter your email address that your account is associated with, and then the text verification, and it should send you a note. Now, I know folks sometimes they try this and they don't receive it. Check your spam folder because sometimes it goes right into spam. It usually is pretty quick though. If you don't get anything within 5 to 10 minutes, then I would say at that point you can submit a service desk ticket, which is right here. This right here, you can go to this, you can copy and paste it and go right up here to your service desk and enter this information in. And there is anyone who has access to the service desk, which I know not all of you do, but you can find out within your organization who has access to this, and they can go in and submit a request to have your password reset or get you access to the prompt system if you're interested in it. So these are two tools that we're highly recommending organizations leverage, because I assure you, if you just go on and you just click and email this address, it goes right to me. I am checking it as much as I can, but it's not going to get addressed sometimes as quick as submitting a support ticket. And also, it won't get addressed as quick as it unless you just try to reset your password yourself. Now, I understand there are filters and there are issues with sometimes folks don't receive the email. Maybe their organization blocked it or went into a folder and you can't find it. Submitting a service desk ticket typically gets a little bit better response. Email in the service desk, you may get a response from us. You probably will. It just may be a little bit longer. But users who have service desk access, everyone within your organization has it. There's just only 2 or 3 people within your organization that have it. So what I would do is reach out and find out within your organization who has access to this portal to be able to go in and submit and reset password tickets if needed. So with that, I am going to take a look and see if we have any comments or questions from folks. If you want to submit a comment, I can try to get to it. You can also email me after this, and I'm happy to answer one-on-one. I think the main thing here is I just wanted to validate if anyone had any specific questions around, hey, can you run through this filter again? Or how would you suggest doing this? I want to kind of focus a little bit on that. Hopefully everyone on the call knows how prompt works and the type of data you're getting and things like that. But again, I can answer those questions on the side as well. So I want to open it up if there are any specific questions or anything people want me to run through one more time just to get some validation around it.
This is Evelyn with the Southwest Florida market.
Yes, hello.
So I have a question, but it may not be to pertain exactly to that. Do we know when the portal is going to be updated?
What do you mean the portal updated?
Maybe it's updated now. We got an email earlier saying that it wasn't updating, and when I had checked it last, maybe before lunch, the last update I had gotten was from, I don't know, 10 or 9 o'clock this morning, but I think it's updating now because the last one looks like it's 1:30.
That probably relates to the latency email that I sent out this morning. When we had some latency, our team went in, did some fix, and we think we're running really well right now. After this call, I'm going to hop on another one and kind of do a system check and try to find out if everything is running as expected. But I think we're doing well at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
Brian, this is April. I have 2 questions regarding the HIE. So I go in this frequently to obtain discharge dates and dispositions. And my first question is confusion. I have a patient that is in the facility, and then there is a discharge date, but the disposition shows still inpatient. What am I supposed to do with that?
In that instance, it could be one or two things. One, the discharge disposition information is incorrect. They just didn't update it when they hit the discharge. Or two, they discharged them from that particular setting, but they moved them to another department, another wing within the hospital that is maybe outside of what our data set is. We have that sometimes happen with behavioral health organizations. If they've got a behavioral health wing, they may discharge them from the ER setting and admit them to the behavioral health, and we don't have the behavioral health system set up as a data sender. So sometimes that may happen. I know there's like cancer settings, burn victims, and those, and they have like different wings. But honestly, what you're telling me, it sounds like they just didn't update the discharge disposition information on discharge.
Okay, would that be the same for my second question? I'm showing a discharge date for another patient and it says null, N-U-L-L, for the disposition.
Yeah,
but
that's
the discharge date.
Yeah, that's the data sender who essentially just didn't populate that data when they sent it out.
Okay.
If you see it happening a lot with that particular data sender, let me know. We can reach out. There are some that just don't populate it as often as we'd like, but it's definitely something that if you see, hey, this Memorial Hospital Miramar seems to always be populating this with a null, I'd like to see if we can get it populated. I'm happy to reach out and request. If it's one or two that you're seeing, they're not going to change it in their systems because they're going to come back and say, we populated 80% of the time as expected. We can't do it 100%.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course. So one other thing, if we have a couple more minutes here, I just want to highlight, I don't know if folks are even using this or if folks know about the capabilities behind this, but I often get questions around the tabs. What is it in progress? What is completed? What is not started? The one thing I'll highlight around that is this is something your organization can decide how you want to leverage this. What you can think about is if you have 10 people log into the system, all right, and every day they log in 9 a.m., 8 a.m., and they work until 6 just using this portal. If I were to log in and I say, oh, I just see that Lindsay came in, I'm going to go ahead and start working Lindsay. I'm going to look at the information. I'm going to find out is there historical stuff. Maybe I'll look up in our EMR and see what other information that may come in. Maybe they have chronic migraines and okay, this makes sense why they had an ER discharge with a headache. But before you do anything, you could move them to in progress. It's just clicking that middle icon here. It basically moves them to yellow. And then now when you click on the event, you can scroll down to the bottom and you can see that I moved them to in progress at this date and this time. And then you can start working. Maybe you want to add care notes to say chronic migraines, or maybe you want to look and say, okay, well, they're on hospice. This is a concern. Maybe we should find out what's going on, or something like that. And then once you're done and you said, okay, I've done what I need to do with them. I don't need to do any more. I don't need to comment anymore. I've finished. I can move them to completed. And so you click on the completed icon here and it moves them to green. They now go in this column. And the great thing about that is, if let's say you go on vacation for a week, you come back, if every single one is listed as red, you don't know who to start with and who not to. Now, if you only have one person leveraging this, then maybe you can keep track of it. But I know me, I like the idea of moving them through the queue. And that way I know I don't have to touch these completed ones because they're already done. We finished what we needed to do. Or maybe the in progress ones, maybe I'm like, okay, if they're in progress, I've written down the ones that I've left in progress. The other ones are someone else's. You can always click on something and look and scroll down and find out where they are, who had them. But the advantage to that is when you've done this and you've moved them, you can actually go and download the filtered results and actually download the ones that are in progress or the ones that are completed. And it allows you to really hone in. If you're maybe a care manager in charge of 4 or 5 people who are leveraging prompt every end of every day on Friday, you could log in and say, okay, I want to see which ones did my team complete. You could go through and download that and see, okay, these are all the ones they completed. Great, we had a good churn rate this month or this week or whatever it may be. You can always move someone back, so don't think because you moved them to green it means they're all of a sudden now off in Greenland. You can move them over to the yellow or to the red. But if multiple people are accessing the system, it is a really good way to kind of organize it and make sure multiple people aren't picking up the phone and calling the same patient or pulling the same patient's chart if you have a ability within the Advent Health EHR to pull charts. Just a good way to make sure you're optimizing resources by kind of tagging where people are. Care notes is, again, I know I mentioned that, but a lot of people are using it. A lot of people see really good value in it. And if your organization says, well, wait a minute, I don't have care notes, reach out to me, let me know, I'll make sure it happens. Everyone should have them, but if there's something happening that you don't, reach out to me. I can make sure that we update your credentials to make sure you guys have that. Are there any other questions or anything that folks want me to highlight around filtration, the data in regards to the way it flows in, anything at all that I can kind of provide some guidance on? I think the main purpose of this call was to really just give you guys some tricks of the trade. When you search for things, make sure you enter in contains, not equals. We use certain codes for skilled nursing and home health and hospice, diagnosis information, the way to search for codes or for descriptions, patient complaint. These are all things that the more data you can provide and the more stuff you can look for, it really drills your notifications down more and more, which just optimizes your time. It makes you where you can really focus in on exactly what you guys want. We had a really, really great use case with one of our county health departments was leveraging this for COVID. They went in and logged in, I think, last year and just started typing in COVID. And once the diagnosis codes were found, they started applying those as well. And their ability to be able to see that, hey, we've got these patients who've been diagnosed with COVID or maybe had a COVID screening. Let's do a follow-up with them, find out what's going on. How many of our patients have this, that kind of thing. So pregnancy, date of death, observation, like all this stuff you guys can apply on the fly and really like just do it. And then, okay, today I'm going to look for this, tomorrow I'm going to look for that, and the next day I'm going to look for that. I personally, I'm probably biased, but I just think this is a really interesting, highly capable tool that you can leverage. And if anyone needs additional users access or has questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. I really like this portal. I think it's great, and I think it really allows people to give some good ammunition to do the care coordination and follow up with the patients as necessary.
Brian, quick question. Is there a potential, this is Gita from Bright, is there a potential to pull data for a specific time period, start and end? I know we can do from greater or less, but I wasn't sure if we can narrow it down.
That, actually, that's a great. So your event date and time. This is something I've requested that they changed. If folks were using Prompt 4 years ago, there used to be a little calendar that would show up that you could select the date range, just like if you're booking a Southwest flight, which to me makes perfect sense. Both the new ULP system they launched about 2 years ago, it's got to be a greater than, equals to, less than at the moment. But we put a request in to get that calendar back, because it's obviously there in the system. You can go equals and the calendar populates. We just need them to go in and change some logic, and they need to do a couple updates for that. So that is something that's coming. It's just not available now. At the moment, exactly what you said, you would type in event, and you could do a date range, greater than, equal to, and you select the date, and you can do the range based on what you're looking for. Sometimes you got to play around with it a little bit, but you can apply that range if you're looking for specific encounter dates. A lot of people say they use this over the weekend. They leave on Friday and maybe they say, I just want to see the events that occurred Saturday and Sunday, and that way they can kind of filter down and see if anything catches their eye. But yeah, that's how you would do that right now. But great question. Trust me, a feature that even for me bothers me. It's obviously there. Like, let's go in and make a change. So I know they're working towards it.
Thank you.
And that is a great point that I'll bring up. The event date and time, for those that don't know, this right here is actually when we received the notification in our HIE system. The recorded admit and discharge time is when the hospital wrote it down in their chart to say, this is when this patient's admitted, this is when this patient's discharged. So a lot of times these two times, especially the discharge, potentially are not going to line up. Admit ERs, you'll see sometimes they're about 15 minutes before we receive it, maybe a little bit longer, because sometimes with an ER, they're focusing on the patient, not focusing on updating the chart. So it may be a little delayed there. And also, if we experience some latency or queues in regards to sender who all of a sudden stops sending data for 48 hours and we re-engage the VPN tunnel and they filter through all those messages, you'll see this be delayed compared to what you're seeing here. But yeah, so just keep that in mind.
Brian,
right.
I had a question.
Yes.
Hi, it's Vivian from Advent Health Senior Care. Now, I know we get notifications through our email about patients that come through, but I've also seen them lately coming in as a text on my phone. Is that something new?
So we do have the capability to do that. I don't know if we set it up for Advent Health, like the Florida HIE set that up. It was something that we set up for some organizations where it's just a text and all it says is you've got an encounter, log into Prompt or log into the SFTP site.
Yes, correct.
So I believe if you're getting it and it says the Florida HIE and the link provided is either to Prompt or to SFTP, then yes, that is something we set up for Advent Health. And it's probably your phone number or your email address got synced up in our system, and Advent Health requested that we essentially ping you guys when an encounter occurs. So
we'll get them via email and text.
Yes, if that's the way the system's set up, that's probably what's happening. If you want to limit that, reach out to your point of contact to say, hey, I don't want to get them both ways. I just want to get them one, and we can go in and apply some filters and figure out what we can do to help. But I think Kimberly Weaver said, no, you're Advent, right?
Yes.
So that may have been Mark Moore. I'm not sure though. But anyway, reach out to me if you're like, I'm trying to figure out how to turn this off. I can get you in contact with the right person to figure out what we can.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, it's approaching 2:45. I really want to keep these kind of short for everyone. I think everyone's up against either 30 or hour, so I figured do a 45-minute, and that way, you know, if it runs long, it runs long. But I think we're doing well right here. You know, a couple things just to keep in mind. Remember when you first logged in, select your drop down. Google Chrome, please try to use that. Resetting your password, you can click the icon to reset your password. And if you don't receive it, maybe check spam. If that doesn't work with the forgot password, maybe have someone in your organization who has service desk access submit a ticket. Those are typically the quicker ways we're going to get the reset password done. And the other thing, which I'll send out a link to the training. So we're going to consistently build this training. The Smart Bar sessions are going to be posted along with prompt tutorials and additional things that we have. So, you know, reference this. If new users come in and they're like, what is prompt? I don't know how to do it. Send them these videos and say, hey, check this out. You know, you can subscribe, and that way when we post new ones, you get an alert about it. But you know, these are really good resources, and I really think that within new members that come in your organization, you can send them these links and say, hey, check this out. Give you a good leg up when you log into prompt for the first time and kind of have a better understanding of how the system works and some capabilities behind it. And the other thing is, if questions do come up around prompt, let me know. If you have like new features or new things that you guys think would be great if we implement, reach out and let me know what we can do, because we're here to like hear what you guys have to say and then leverage that into our product development pipeline to see what we can do and how quickly we can get it done. So with that, I want to thank you all so much for attending. I really appreciate the time. And again, reach out with me with any questions or any additional support we can provide. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. And I want you guys all to have a great day. Thank you so much for your time. And till the next Smart Bar session, you guys will get an email here in a couple of weeks. All right.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Everyone.